How many did that take? This panoramic stuff, it's harder than it looks. Today we're going to try and do some street photography with the Fuji XT3 using the panoramic setting. Now, I've never even tried it for landscape or anything, so we're just going to try it for street. And I've had a little go just this morning, and what seems to happen is if I try and do a pano and someone walks from a left to right, then they kind of ghost and then the image is ruined. So I really need to look for like static subjects, and I think I caught one where people were walking away from me and they seemed to come out all right. So that's the plan. Whether it's going to work out, I don't know. We like to try different things, so you know, you've got all these modes on these modern cameras, so we thought we'd have a go at some panoramic street photography. Okay, so I tried a pano shot here, only because I could see that guy standing over there. Some people walked past and some people were either end of the pano, so we'll see if it worked out when we get back home. So before this image I took one or two just kind of test pictures a little bit further down the road, and then as I got to the end of the junction I see a guy, he was leaning up, had earphones on, and he was on his phone, and I thought, right, this is a good sort of junction to take a panoramic because you get that road sweep in the front. And I tried a few pictures, and the weird thing was I had people on the left walking away and people on the right walking in to the scene, and as you can see it's not affected the guy obviously who's standing still, but the people who are walking away, they weren't affected either from any blur from their movement as they pass through the picture. And the guys coming in on the right hand side, there's a slight blur. Now I think what has actually happened is, as I've started the panoramic off and I've took the first shot is like on the left hand side, I've obviously got the frame with those two people in, and then I've moved the camera enough to not take another photo of them as they're walking away, so there's no repeat of them, no ghosting or anything like that. And I've panned round, there's no one else about, and then as I get to the right hand side, I've obviously got one picture of these guys and then maybe possibly another one because they're coming into the frame and I'm going their way as well. So I've sort of got one where they're walking in, and then I've got another one where they've walked slightly further in, and I'm thinking that's why I've got that little bit of blur there. So I don't mind that actually. On this particular photo, it just looks like there's a slight movement in them. There's not too much of a ghosting, or they've not been chopped in half or anything like that. So for this image I could really put up with that. That's not a problem at all. But it's obviously one of those things I'm going to have to look out for, trying to get more panoramic shots as we move along. Now, doing these panoramics is a bit fiddly because you've really got to keep the camera, there's a line that runs through the screen and there's a little X in the middle, and you've got to really keep it running parallel with that as you pan your camera around. So that is proving quite tricky, especially when, you know, there's a subject there and you're trying to do this and that and people are moving by. But we'll persist and hopefully we'll get at least one or two good shots. So the toughest thing I've found with shooting out in the panoramic mode is composition. Trying to get a composition in that long panoramic format is really tricky. Do you put the person in the middle? Do you put them on the left, on the right? On the right seems a bit weird because it's like when you read from left to right, and in a composition really you want someone on the left looking into the frame. That's kind of how I see it. That's kind of what looks pleasing to my eyes. So the other thing with compositions is I'm trying to say be on a long street and like be at a corner where you then get a view down another road. and that kind of adds another element of if there's something happening down there as well. Today we're going to use the Acros film simulation with the yellow filter, and we'll probably also go and shoot some colour, and for that I'll use the classic chrome, and we'll make a few minor tweaks in Lightroom. I'll also only be shooting JPEG because that's what I always do, and I think with the panoramic mode you can only use that in JPEG anyway. And what I'm doing is kind of, if whatever the subject is in the picture, I'm locking the exposure where the subject is that I want in focus, and then I'm kind of moving the camera, pointing away and then moving it around until we get the full panoramic shot. The thing that's happening is if I go fast it doesn't work and you have to do it again, and if you go slow it doesn't work and you have to do it again, and if you don't keep the cross on the horizontal line you have to do it again. Now, I said in the last thing about, in the tips video, about wearing dark clothes to be kind of not draw attention to yourself. Well, we put this in panoramic mode, and I don't know if you can hear this, I'll put it near the microphone. This is not drawing attention to yourself. I don't know if you can hear that, but it makes a hell of a racket. And that is definitely going to draw attention to whoever's doing it. So be prepared for some funny looks, that's all I can say. Why panoramic? What's made me decide I wanted to do panoramic photography on the streets? Well, I was watching YouTube, watching a guy I follow. His channel, his name is The Real Sir Robin. I believe he's a German guy. He was out taking photos on the street with an xpan, Fuji Xpan. So for those of you who don't know what that is a Fuji 35mm film camera, which is capable of shooting two 35mm frames side by side to get a panoramic image. And yeah, I really liked it. He's done some zines, so I thought I'd get one and check that out. So let's have a look at that. It's still in the wrapper, I haven't even opened it yet, so let's see. I mean, I liked what he was doing on his channel, so and I see some of the images that he'd done for the zine, so yeah, let's have a look. Can we see that? It looks really nice, a really kind of I don't know what kind of finish that is. It's like a matte finish, but it's got like little, this extra wide is shiny. So, yeah, after watching The Real Sir Robin's channel, and seeing him shoot panoramic images on the street, it just gave me that idea, like, you know, digital cameras shoot panoramic images. I wonder if I could give that a go on the street. Now, you know, digital, it's not the same as film, so it does create a lot of problems because you're shooting, or how it works, because I mean, I'd never tried it before. It literally takes a series of images. You follow the arrow round on the screen, a bit like when you've done it on your phone, shooting a panoramic. But this, you hear it taking, I don't know how many images it takes. I think if you go at a decent speed, it'll take that amount. And if you take too long, you find it, the camera's telling you, no, you're gonna have to do it again. So it's kind of a bit annoying, but the one problem we have is with the film version, if you're using like an xpan, you take the shot, it's done. But the trouble with doing a digital version is you're taking a series of shots. So as soon as there's somebody walking in the image, you're getting lots of ghosting or lots of repetition, where the digital processing in the camera is trying to stitch it together, and you're getting slices of people. So I've come to the conclusion that I'm going to have to try and find static subjects. They can be moving and twisting around maybe, I don't know, but as soon as they're walking and they walk across a frame, I think we're in all kinds of trouble. So this panoramic malarkey is going to take some serious practice, because one, you're not going to take a tripod out to take pictures on the street. I know it's probably been done, a similar type of thing, by some people, but you know, practicality wise, you know, you just want to be, you know, walking about. You don't want to be lugging loads of stuff about. You're not shooting landscapes, although you could do a special version, you know, with a tripod, I suppose. But I'm trying to do it without. So this is where it's going to take some practice in trying to keep the camera level as you pan it, because then it stitches it together easier, and trying to find subjects that are mostly static without people walking through the frame. You can't really shoot a slow shutter speed because you're moving the camera, so straight away your whole image is just going to be blurry. So you know, you need a decent shutter speed, at least 125th, I would imagine. Maybe a little bit quicker might make things stitch together a little bit easier. So that's one problem, is practicing and finding the compositions where you can find a static subject. But we're going to keep giving it a go. This is only part one. I'm going to make a second part where, you know, I'm going to practice and I'm going to try and get some decent shots, because this video is more first time trying it out, see what it does, see where things go wrong, where we can put things right, what we've kind of got to look for, like I've explained. So yeah, I'll make a second part and hopefully have some half decent pictures. I think if I get one or two, I'll be quite over the moon, actually, because it is quite a tricky thing to try and do panoramic street photography where there's moving subjects. So yeah, there'll be a part two. So if you want to see part two, subscribe, hit the bell and get the notifications, and then hopefully I'll have this video sorted out and you'll get to see it, and hopefully I'll get some decent pictures out of it. So we'll see how it goes. That's a great zine, that. And if you like your film photography, check out the Real Sir Robin's YouTube page. I think most of the stuff he does is all film cameras, and I think that's one of his first film cameras. I think, I'm sure that's what he says on there, the xpan. So yeah, go and take a look at his channel. Well, hopefully I'll have something to show you in part two, after going through all these troubles of trying to sort out shots and compositions and stuff like that. I think it's going to be one really tricky thing, and I keep saying it's going to be tricky because I know it really is going to be tricky. Anyway, thanks for watching the video, guys. Give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, hit the bell for notifications. Feel free to share it if you want to share it somewhere, and as always, I'll see you on the streets.